really want to inspire you all to get out there and do it. Art is such a safe place. For me, I am most alive when I'm doing my art. It's not always easy for an artist to talk about what they do because, well, for most of us, it's like breathing. Anyway, so Hatchet to me is very special because all these creative people have taken the time to really think about how and why they do what they do. I sketched, and I sketched, and I sketched, probably like these girls here, and had huge dreams, and would save up my allowance and go to whatever store I could, Sears or whatever was available, and buy inexpensive shoes and cut and paste and find things outside, you know, glue a shell to the top, whatever it was, so that I could create my own shoes in my own little world and then model them in my room. So my mother very wisely would bring me on Saturdays down to Worth Avenue. She would drop me off on the corner, and there were a couple stores that would put up with me because it was, yeah, it's kind of awkward to just have this 10-year-old wanting to watch everybody be fit and ask people what it is they like about this shoe and sketch their feet and whatever else. So that's how most of my Saturdays were spent. But it was a great learning experience. It really, really was. But again, I'm still the girl in the saddle shoes. My academic career was less than lackluster. I went back to my parents and said, look, this just isn't working, going back and doing the normal academic thing. Would it be all right if I go to New York? When I started on that search for the perfect place to work, I just happened to go into a store. I was not familiar with Roger Vivier at the time. And asked if they were accepting any applications. Roger Vivier was the man who did Queen Elizabeth's coronation shoes, and even though she might be a little bit stodgy, he had more fun. But then he had also this wicked sense of humor, and he did Brigitte Bardot's over-the-knee motorcycle boots. Vivier would come into town twice a year, and I very shyly asked him if he would look at my portfolio. You guys will have to do that one day. And he could not have been more kind. And so he looked at these pictures that now I just kind of go, oh, because especially this 80s number on the top, they really don't make much sense. Anyway, he told me that I should apply to shoe pattern making school in Milan. Sounds good. So I did, and they send you this one exam. If you go in or outside the lines at all, they don't accept you. And you know, you're nervous, so it's, anyway, needless to say, I was not accepted. So the nuns are there to show you the next stop was Rome. So I applied again, and this time I made it. So from Rome, I moved to Milan and started in what's called ARS Sutoria. It was quite a bit of work. It's not overly glamorous, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So the pinnacle of my career came about. I'm back in New York, and I'm doing those 3 lines, which is a lot of samples at the end of the year. That's probably 300-400 different pairs of shoes. And Mr. Vivier cold calls me one day and says, may I come to your showroom? I'd like to talk to you. And you know, when you get that call, I go, well, yes, of course. Yeah. So he showed up and said, Sarah, I'm 80 years old and I want to get back into shoes before I leave this world. Would you be my only apprentice? He had never had an apprentice, and he wanted me to continue the line for him after. For somebody who is so unbelievably talented, to be so humble, he was the real deal. So this is just to give you an idea of what it is really like to be a shoe designer, because yeah, it's glamorous at times and you meet some very interesting people, but there's a lot, and it's actually my favorite part, just of hanging out in the factory.